Well, good evening, good morning, wherever you may be in this wicked world that we call Earth. I'm Jamie McNichol, the Southern Sentinel, coming to you live on the Resistance channel. Been a while that I've been on this show, and before we get on to what's been happening behind the scenes, as you can see, I've got a green screen. I just uploaded it, and you can probably see Granny Fluid rules. Yeah. I want to get the t-shirt made up and printed and hand them out to the boys and the girls and anyone that liked the thing that we brought up last year. We came up with this slogan, Granny Fluid, and we're just getting some things together. And there's a shirt design there, a bit of a rough copy, but I thought I'd put it up there as a backdrop and use it as a green screen. But anyway, how you all been in this wicked world of wonderfulness? There's so much to talk about, but let's do a little bit of an update, shall we? As many people know and don't know, May last year in the old house that I used to live with my ex-housemate and my fiance, the ex-housemate decided to have an episode, and for one reason or another, he decided to get in his car, go absolutely ape shit, and drive into the house not once but twice. And in the cause of it, he tore down the carport and smashed into the garage and everything else. Well, I estimated at that time the damages would be around about, I don't know, $200,000. Well, it just came out yesterday, talking to some of our friends. He's been blabbering on that he now got to pay in damages $150,000 worth of damages. In all of that, he also lost his job back in January this year, so he's unemployed. So he's on the unemployment benefit. Also, he's claiming that there was a dash cam footage of what actually occurred, which is a lot of bullshit because the car that he drove, and I've driven his car too, it's got no dash cam. There's no dash cam in the car. Then he went on to say, oh, there was a video camera security footage from the neighbours across the road. Well, what he doesn't understand is the driveway to our house is not actually straight. It goes on a bit of an angle. So where the car was parked at the start of the whole thing, you can't see it from across the road because the house is not directly in line with the house across the road. There's a road there. You've got a house on the left of it and you've got a house on the right. So whoever got the security footage would not actually see straight down the driveway. So that is a lot of bullshit, that the security. Also, there was no cars at the front while the incident occurred. So the only witness really is myself and my fiance. But we haven't spoken to him, we haven't seen him since, and more importantly, God's in control. I'm a firm believer in God, and God uses things in miraculous ways, and He does things in certain situations. And we got out of there, we moved and whatnot, and haven't heard anything for a long, long time. And now that we're hearing a little bit of whispers that he's lost his job, he's now got to pay $150,000. Well, it's on him. So, but the house that I currently live with my fiance, we've been told by the landlord that he wants to put the house unit, apartment, whatever you want to call it, up on the market. He wants to sell it. So we've been given our notice plenty of time in advance. Our lease, yes, we're private renting. Our lease doesn't run out till June, so he gave us plenty of months. So that's a good thing. But we're back in the same situation where we were last year, where we were looking for houses during COVID and we couldn't get a house for a while. And I found this little advertisement in the local paper and we got it. So maybe we'll go down that road again. And you never know. The next chapter of our life will begin again. But let's go on through all the other stuff, shall we? There's so much people in the world, and I will say this: condemning people won't get vaccinated. Now, there's many people know I'm in the music business, and I'll just say this: a couple of months ago, while I was doing an interview on the Rocket Diaries with Damien, we finished the interview and whatnot. And then a couple of days later, I got an email back from a record label saying that we shall not, and only necessary, talk about COVID because they have a different opinion than what Damien and myself do. And I get it. A lot of these musicians and bands and promoters and whatnot, they're libertarians, and they go with the flow. They want to get back into business. They want to get back into work and want to get back to touring and blah, blah, blah. But with all the hypocrisy behind it, with all these mandates and blah, 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 I don't agree with. Now, looking at my personal life, for a long, long time, I couldn't travel from my state to another state because their state leader was shutting the borders down. And if you do enter into their state, you have to quarantine for 14 days and go into a hotel, pay your own way, which is $3,500 in some cases, out of your own pocket. And after 14 days, and you've been quarantining, and it comes back negative tests and all that, you can roam around and continue on your holiday. Now, I'm not agree with that. I'd rather want to go into a state, see my family without any restrictions whatsoever. Because, in my opinion, I don't believe the government, whether it's state or federal, have a right to interfere with your personal and private life, especially when it comes to your family. They can't separate you from seeing your loved ones in any way, shape, or form. But they have. They have stopped people from attending their loved one's funeral or wedding or birthday or graduation. You name it. They have done that. So when it comes back to the music business, I'm not allowed to talk about COVID because they've got a different opinion than what I do. And I have been warned that if I do mention COVID, then I won't get the interviews again. They're going to delist me off their media list and blah, blah, blah. So I just got to play it cool, calm, and collected and just not talk about it. I still have my own opinions about it, but this is music. I've been working so long on that and my baby, and I don't want to jeopardize that. But when it comes to this channel or Southern Truth, or even talking to Eric and his revolution, I can bring these topics up because there's a lot of people in the music business that I do look up to and I got influenced by, are pushing the agenda that you must wear a mask, you must get vaccinated, blah, blah, blah. I'm not for that. I didn't come into the music business or become a fan of their music for any political agenda. And most of these bands did not go into the music world to have a political agenda. They were against the political system in one way, shape, or form. But the wheels have turned 360 degrees in a different direction, and most of these rock stars and God knows what else you want to call them in the music industry have completely turned on its own head. They've gone against what they were doing when they got into the music business. With me, rock and roll or heavy metal was all about sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Well, you can't fucking do that right now. With all these freaking cancer culture bullshit and that, you can't go out your way. And okay, let's put it in hindsight. If a glam hair metal band got created today, do you think they would get the same type of treatment like the 80s did? Not on your chance. No way, shape, or form. If you wore your spandex right now and the glam and all that, no. There'll be no band in hell would go along that. Huh? Because the cancer culture. Now, let's say, for instance, if Ted Nugent started his music career right now, do you think he would get a record label? No, because he's got an opinion like I do, and he's rightfully for doing it, and I tip my hat off to him for him to do it. But he's been censored left, right, and centre. You know, I'm a huge Dee Snider fan, and nothing against Dee. He went into Congress to fight against cancel culture about the parental guardianship of his music. But look what he's doing on Twitter. He'd rather you believe in the science and the doctors and blah, blah, blah about COVID. See, these are the people that I looked up to in my music career. But it just leaves a little sour pill taste in my mouth that these people that I look up to are completely missing the point. But where do I stand here? Do I continue to listen to their music? You bet your bottom dollar I do. But I'm not listening to their political bullshit. And when it comes to COVID, vaccines, or whatever else, because music and what's going on to the world are two separate fucking things. Two separate things. I go to listen to their music and I go to their concerts to get away from reality, to escape from all the bullshit. But unfortunately, in some places where it's coming very close, they're going to force you to be vaccinated, and you can't go into a live venue or an indoor venue without being vaccinated. I simply will not go to their concerts. I made a decision last year when all this shit was brought out. If any place, whether it's a grocery store, music store, a live venue, or a bar, or a restaurant, if they have any restrictions on, I choose to not go to their business. If they lose their money, so be it. I'd rather spend my money somewhere else that is open and free. Here, where I am, COVID basically does not exist. Let's be honest. Most of the cases that are currently occurring here in South Australia, where I am, are people from returning back to Australia and they're in hotel quarantine. There's no community transmission. There's no one in the general public in South Australia that is sick. It's coming back from the people returning back from overseas. Now, the question should be asked, should return travellers be tested and return a negative result to be able to get back to the country? No. There are citizens. They are residents of the country. They should be allowed to return home. People get sick. And wiping down stuff and sterilizing everything after you touch it every couple of minutes, they are eliminating the antibacterial thing. Now, when we all grow up as kids, we were used to germs. Hell, in my neighborhood when we were kids, there's some kid that used to make mud pies and freaking eat it. I didn't, but there were some kids that in my neighborhood did. That was all part and parcel of growing up. We cut our finger, we put a betadine on it and put a band-aid on and let it heal over time. But now, well, the way society is, you've got to wrap yourself up, not just in cotton wool and glad wrap. You've got to put 2 or 3 masks on. You've got to put your freaking glad wrap on. You've got to put bubble wrap on top of that. Then you've got to put a complete plastic cover on top of that, like a annex. Then you've got to put like a garbage bag on top of that. Then you've got to put a hazmat thing on top of that so you don't get affected or get any disease. There's so much things that I can say right now. But the thing is, if you're in a suburban area like a city where I am, maybe it's now the time to move away from the suburban metropolitan city areas and move out into the country. Because since the pandemic has started, people in rural areas or country areas, they haven't had one single case at all. But yet, because they live so many hundreds, maybe thousands of miles away from a, a particular case of COVID, and they live in the same state, especially here in Australia, the state government will shut down the whole entire state for 3, 6, maybe 4 or 5 months, depends, over one case. One. We're not talking about multiples here. We're talking about just one case. The state government will shut down the whole entire state, whether you live 100 to 1,000 miles away in the same state that had never had one case since the pandemic started. Right? Should they, and here's the question, should they just isolate the area where the case is, just shut that down, still operate, of course, but I'm talking about make a perimeter that no one's allowed to go in or out unless you're going to work or essential, right? You don't have to quarantine, but you just can't go into that area. Shouldn't that be a bit more sense that you isolate that particular area rather than trying to shut down the whole entire state because one case in the city from hotel quarantine? Yeah. A report came out a couple of days ago. The Florida governor wrote a report to the CDC that they want to operate the cruise ships as soon as possible. Matter of fact, they want to operate the cruise ships around about June, July. Now, the problem is there'll be a limit on how many people they can have in the cruise ships. You've still got to be 6 feet apart from each other, but here's the kicker. If you go on a cruise ship, you must mandatory be vaccinated. You can't go on a cruise ship without being vaccinated. Now, here's the thing. Don't know what it will be like. I don't know what it was like in America, but I know here in Australia, there was about 8 to 9 different cruise ships returning from overseas at the start of the pandemic last year. Every single cruise ship had a case of COVID. Multiple, even hundreds of passengers on cruise ships were infected by COVID. And they shut down the cruise liner ship since then. Now, most of the cases that we got here in Australia at the start didn't come from people returning back from overseas on a plane. It was all on a cruise ship. There was 8 to 9 different cruise ships around Australia, all infected. Now, before COVID, I know Kiss, the band Kiss, they'd have their own cruise called the Kiss Cruise every year, and they haven't had it for the last couple of years due to COVID. But anyway, Kiss was supposed to come to Australia 2 years ago, but Paul Stanley got sick, got really, really sick on the cruise, and he cancelled, didn't come over. Not only that, multiple people got sick. And this was back in 2019. This was before the pandemic. Anyway, since then, I heard multiple other people from different cruise ships since late 2019 were getting sick. So my question was asked to a lot of the fans and the music, did COVID actually started on the cruise ships rather than from China or from a lab? Because for like the cruise been going on for about 8, 9 years, and they have these different people with the sterilizer bottle, like squishy, and they made a song about it, like washing your hands and that. But there's a lot of people, like if you go into the bistro area, some people were getting food poisoning. And how many people have we heard if you go to a food court, even a restaurant, and go to the bistro, some people do get food poisoning. Well, that's what's happening on the cruise ship. This cruise ship that KISS have, called the KISS cruise. It's on the Norwegian Pearl. It goes out from Fort Lauderdale, and they go out into the Bahamas and whatnot for a couple of days, and they go back to Fort Lauderdale. But many people were getting sick. And this was just around October 2019. Right? So, did people get sick from COVID from cruise ships? Because I know for a fact there was like I said, 8 to 9 different cruise ships at the start of the pandemic returned back to Australia, and hundreds of passengers on those cruise ships got infected by COVID. So did COVID come from the cruise ships? That's a good question. So that's what's happening. And yeah, many people are saying you need a vaccine passport and blah, blah, blah. Well, if you don't want it, well, here's the thing. Here in Australia, it's different than overseas. Here in Australia, it's not mandatory to get vaccinated. But here's the kicker. They probably will make it harder for you to go into certain places if you haven't been vaccinated. It's a fact. Now, the problem is, like I said before, I will not walk into a business or a live venue or anything like that if they've got any mandate. Hey, I haven't been to a live gig since last year when Alex Cooper was here. That was back in February, before lockdown happened. Right? I've got a couple of gigs planned up in about a month's time and later this year, but if they still require you to have a certain thing to get in there, I'm not going. Right? The capacity for people have gotten bigger, so that we can have up to 75% capacity in indoor arenas now and licensed venues. This is good. But if they require you to wear a mask or be vaccinated when the big boys like KISS is coming to Australia in November, December this year, they require you to be vaccinated and blah, 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 I'm not going. And many people know I'm a massive KISS fan, but hey, if I've got to miss out, I've got to miss out. I've got the DVDs here, I've got records here, I've got everything here. If I want to see KISS, I've got to put it on the TV. And predominantly, KISS haven't done anything new for a while anyway, so you know what you're going to get anyway. You know what song they're going to do the blood spit. You know what song they're going to do the fire breathing. You know what song Paul will smash the guitar. Rock and roll all night. It's always smashes the guitar. You know what songs are drum solos. You know what songs are guitar solos. So it's nothing new. But anyway, that's that bit. I want to bring up this topic, and it might be a little bit controversial, but I want to bring up this topic. I was listening to the radio last night here in Australia and whatnot, and there was a guy that came on the radio last night, said that he was in a 7-year relationship with his partner. He was engaged, and last Thursday before Good Friday, his fiancée ended the relationship after 7 years because she believed she was living a lie. She was gay. She came out and said that she was gay. And then this guy was shattered. He loves her, of course, and whatnot. But he said last night that very interesting that he supports her, and it must be devastating to hide behind an identity that you've been keeping a secret. Now, the question is it okay to live a secret life? I truly believe, and this is just my opinion, I truly believe it's now far easier for people to decide who they are and who they should be in a relationship. Yeah, everyone should love who they should be. But there was another caller on the radio last night who was married to this woman. They got a divorce because she came out and said she was gay. There was a child involved. She went into a lesbian relationship, got married to that lady. Then she decided she wanted to go back to being a normal relationship. So she divorced her and found another guy and married him. While she still had a child with her first husband. Now, I just say it. like I said this on the radio as well, and this is just my opinion because this is just I've been in a lot of situations, and there's been a lot of things in my life, personal life, and I've been a witness to this, and I've been in in different situations in my life. I'm yet to see anyone to tell me that they were born gay. Now, I'm not disputing the fact that that no one can't be born gay. It's just the way that I've been in situations. I am yet to see a person to say they were born gay. It predominantly in situations that have occurred in my life, their story tells me the gay relationship was a choice because they didn't like the opposite sex, or they've been mistreated, or they've been sexually harassed, and blah, blah, blah. So you get my standpoint on that. That's not me saying that I don't believe it. I'm yet to see anyone to sit down beside me and have a good heart-to-heart, open conversation. I'm not saying that I'm not disputing that you can't born gay, but blah, blah, blah. That's not the issue. I'm stating my personal situations in my life where people that are either a gay man or a lesbian has said that they choose to become that after a certain period of time. Now that does not also that also means that there have been people later on in life come out of the closet and say that they are gay because they were embarrassed by the fact that if they did come out and say it, they would not got the promotion that they were getting at work or in a business or movies or like let's put it in hindsight. If Harrison Ford was openly gay, do you think he would have got a starring role as Star Wars or Indiana Jones? What about Sylvester Stallone? If he was openly gay, do you think he would have got the starring role of Rocky and Rambo and Cobra and that? Good question. So, like, hey, there's some people in the music business I totally look up to that are gay. Rob Halford from Judas Priest, Freddie Mercury from Queen, Elton John. I love their music. Right? What they do behind closed doors, that's their business. Notes get off my notes. Right? But what I think it comes down to is over the years, especially now, it's just been culturalized and it's been popularized and it's been shoved in our face and shoved down our throat to make us look uncomfortable because they were mistreated for many, many years in the 60s and 70s that if they came out and said gay, they were not going to get a starring role or a promotion in a job or blah, blah. So you can see this different shapeshift. These people that couldn't say they were gay for many, many years. It's because they felt embarrassed. Now it's flipped that it's been popularized, it's been culturalized, it's been shoved in our faces. It makes some people, like myself, a bit uncomfortable. I don't care what they do behind closed doors. I really don't. But when it's in your face 24/7 and you read it and you hear it and that, where can you turn? My only thing about this whole situation is what does it do to the children? Because children are not getting educated now. You can't teach them any new tricks or you can't educate them because if you educate them, you got some Joe Blow or some Mrs. Brown saying that you're doing child abuse. If you educate your children at home, I'd rather have kids being educated at home rather than going to a freaking school now because they don't teach anything at school. I know people saying that, coming home from school, oh, what did you learn today? Oh, I learned how to play with Barbie and Ken. What education is that? When I went to school, I was taught about where we came from as a country, what the capital city of a state and how many states and territories were there in Australia. That's what I got brought. The convicts and whatnot. That's what I was brought up. But hey, people don't want to learn no more. People want to sit at home playing their freaking computer games and being brainwashed by stupid crap that does not make a cent of what it is. It's just stupid. So the question is, how would you feel if you've been in a relationship for multiple years, you've been with this person for a long time, and then out of the blue, that person, whether it's a male or female, decides to end the relationship because that person does not want to live a lie anymore and openly comes out and said that I'm gay? How would you feel? Will you be okay with it? Will you be shattered? Will you be both? Good question. I think it comes down to, in my opinion, it's the way that we were brought up ourselves. I mean, yeah, okay, let's be honest. I'm not homophobic, but I do have a standpoint where certain things just are very uncomfortable with me. Now, does that make me a hypocrite? Because Kiss, they wear makeup and platform boots and it's a gimmick, right? Then I look at drag queens that men wear makeup and platform boots and high heels, but the difference is Kiss is not trying to be anybody else rather than just having a comic book character. For me, Kiss looks like characters from the Kubaki Japanese style, while drag queens is just completely different. And yet, when I say kids getting educated at kindergarten, that saying that you can be whatever you want. Yes, you can be whatever you want, but you can't just live a freaking thing like that. That's just me. That's what I'm uncomfortable. If they want to do that business and that when they grow up, yeah, that's their business. But don't try to educate children that it's okay to be a boy but play in women's sport. Have you ever looked at the Guinness Book of Records? Name one woman that broken world records in a men's sport, like a 100-meter sprint or weightlifting. It doesn't happen. Anyway, your thoughts? What's this go about this thing that's happened over in America, that there was a family that was kicked off an air flight because the 2-year-old didn't have a mask on while that 2-year-old was eating. Now, let me put it in perspective. The family is Jewish. They have not one child, they have two. The other child was just needed special things, like a special need child. It's like got Down syndrome. Anyway, there was a flight attendant on there saying that you've got to get off the flight because you're not wearing a mask. And the couple said, "Hey, this child is eating." And I said, "No, you've got to go." So they kicked everyone off the flight. Well, good news. They returned back onto the flight after certain things went through. But the stewards, the air hostess, was not allowed to go back on because they found that it would what she was doing. She was over monopolizing the criteria and whatnot, weren't taking common sense into play, and blah blah blah. Now imagine this: you have a 2-year-old and you have a special need child that needs special needs help and whatnot with Down syndrome, and they eating, and yet you get told that you can't go on a plane because you're not wearing a mask, but you're eating. I actually thought it was about the religion factor, that the person was Jewish and blah blah. Hey, the last time a Jewish person was banned from that was when was back in the Second World War when Adolf Hitler was doing that. But anyway, many people say that the Jews are bad people. They're not bad people. Hey, Jesus was Jewish. Huh? He was Jewish. Read your Bible. But anyway, what your thoughts are? It started off as a negative thing, but ended up being a positive. So screw you, people that are trying to stop people from eating, especially on a plane. Or especially if you're in a restaurant or bar. I mean, if you're eating, I mean, you can't fucking eat with a mask on, you dumb idiot. But anyway, so yeah, you see the little green screen? It's Granny Fluid Rules. This is the thing that I roughly made up last year when we were talking about granny fluids. We are getting some t-shirts designed. This is just a rough thing, so I may go ahead with it and get these designed up and printed up and whatnot and send them out to the people that need them. So yeah, granny fluid does rule. So yeah. But anyway, what we see is that here where I am, like I said, it's basically no COVID, right? No one really getting sick and blah blah blah. So I don't know what it is. Over in America and in Europe and that, fucking, they're talking about COVID this and putting mandates on that and lockdown here, lockdown there. Do what I would say. Just tell them and tell them to get fucked. That's being polite. Just tell them to get fucked. But I get it. People don't want to lose their jobs. Hey, how many fucking jobs have been destroyed since lockdown, since shutdown or pandemic, whatever you want to call it? How many fucking jobs have been destroyed because of their policies and politics and shit? They don't give a stuff about you. All they're worrying about is a big fat paycheck and their big fucking dome house that they've got. They don't give a shit. They don't care. So all you people that voted in Biden, sucked in. You got what you fucking wanted now, don't you? Right? So yeah, you can do what you want. You can be what you want, but don't tread on me and don't tread on my friends because they always hate you there. Here's some good news. Many people don't know, I've been on a bit of a diet, bit of a transformation, bit of a rething from my body. Over the last 2 weeks, I've been taking what they call the man shake. Now, you can get what they call the lady shake. What it is, it's not a protein shake. It's a meal supplement. It's got all the different environmental friendly minerals and whatnot. And basically, it helps you lose weight the easy way and maintain the weight off. You can still enjoy your favorite food, your wine, your beer, and most importantly, after you eat a main meal, you don't feel bloated. And that was a problem with me. Every time I was eating my main meals, like dinner or tea, I was full, but I was bloated. Well, now, since I've been taking the man shake, it's a meal supplement, I still have my main meal. I'm full, but the thing is, I'm not bloated anymore. I don't feel bloated. I've got more energy. Hey, there's been times where I stand on my feet doing the dishes and that, and I get this little back spasm and my back plays up. Lately, I haven't had any problem doing the dishes. I've been doing it from start to finish without any breaks in between and whatnot. And yes, I have lost in the last 2 weeks 4.5 kilos. Work it out in pounds if you live in the other end of the world. But 4.5 kilos in 2 weeks. Impressive. So you guys will see a bit of a rapid change between now to the end of the year. I've got a goal, and I'm not going to tell you what that goal is. I've got a goal to achieve, and when that goal does come, you'll see a before photo and an after photo, and you'll see the progression. I've got this Slurpee, and a couple of months ago, now they've taken away the plastic straws from the Slurpees. They've put the paper bloody straws in now. Yeah, I get it. But when you're drinking through the paper straws, you don't really taste the full flavour like you used to do. It tastes freaking like a cardboard box being jammed down your throat. And most importantly, this paper straws get wet so much easier, and it just turns into a bit of a soggy mush. Right? It gets all soggy after a while and whatnot, and blah blah blah, and it, it's not good. Why take all these things that we were so used to away from us? Why? What's the fact? Why is you know certain label or food labels have to change their name because it's offensive to the minorities? All it has to take is one fucking person to make a complaint, and boom, the whole thing fucking changes. You know, it's just unbelievable. That's what it is in society. All it's got to do, if one person that gets offended, they'll go and make a fucking post up on fucking social media and do a fucking campaign, like a change.org fucking campaign, get signatures and blah, blah, blah. They'll probably only get a couple of hundred signatures, if that, not thousands or whatnot. They'll only get a couple of hundred, if that. And yet, they raise all these fucking funds to change it and take it to court and lawsuits, and yet they get it passed through and it fucking change everything. So cancer fucking shit. It really does boggles my mind. If one person in a society gets offended, they've got a bigger fucking voice than the majority. So what it comes down to is the minority now is the majority, and the majority now is the minority when it comes to cancel culture. Right? And it's just getting beyond a joke. That's like they're trying to take a iconic ice cream name away from Australia called Golden Gay Time because one gay guy thought the gay name is outdated. This gay time had nothing to do with the gay community. It was just Golden Gay Time. It's been around since 1959 here in Australia. Right? And basically, it's iconic. It's an ice cream. But this person's got a couple of people behind him and trying to get the name changed because it's got gay in the freaking thing. But the thing is, the gay community is not complaining it. It's just this numbskull, one numbskull, thinks it's offensive. But that's the thing. It's got to take only one person to be offended, and yet the whole thing fucking changes. One. So, what's your thoughts on that? Leave a comment below and whatnot. And see. Another thing I want to bring, I just love getting away from all the nonsense and bullshit that goes on in the suburban area. Yes, I live about, it's not even a 10-minute drive from the actual city of Adelaide. I love going out into the country, to the coast. There's a place I went to last month called Port Lincoln, which is about an 8-hour drive from where I am. Now, the thing is, you've got the coast and the country all in one, right on your doorstep. The thing is, it's so refreshing. You're away from all the freaking bullshit in the city. Now, the question I want to ask, especially people that live in America, why is it that the suburban areas, the attitude of people is so fucking pathetic and it's so tankified that when you go out into the rural area, everyone seems to be okay. They get along. They can have a barbecue or they can have a bit of a drink and get together and whatnot. But in the city, if you do something out of the norm, like not wearing a mask, they fucking come on you like a ton of bricks. It is pathetic. I've said to my fiance, if I had a fucking money, I'll move away from the city and get into the rural country area. Because the cities now are becoming a complete clusterfuck. Left, right, and center. And the further you're away from the city, probably the better you are, in my opinion. Because there's just so much garbage in the city going on. The people that are impatient, especially when you're driving, they'll get right up your ass and tailgate you and overtake you in a place where overtaking is not necessary and cause fucking accidents. You get all these dickheads and that left, right, and center. But my point is, the lifestyle in the city compared to the lifestyle in the rural country areas are completely fucking different now. I'm always been a city boy. I always used to love the city life and whatnot. But when I got older, I love the country and the coast. If you have a chance, probably now's the time to start thinking, get out of the fucking city, because the cities are getting destroyed by the wayside. By the fucking wayside. It's going to be a complete upheaval, and maybe the industrial complex is just going to be re-transformed, and they're going to use fucking computers and fucking robots, and you that works in the fucking field will be booted out of the jobs, and you won't even have a fucking job because it's been um, taken away by artificial intelligence. The reason why they use artificial intelligence because they think it will save a lot of fucking time, and it's faster. They can get the quotas up to speed. They don't want hard labor anymore. They want fucking computers to do it. Hey, you ever walked into a fucking grocery store lately? They want you to do the fucking job, not the fucking service desk behind it. Always go up to the service desk, the person that's working behind it. Because, one, you're saving their jobs. And two, at least you know that if you go up to someone that's actually working, they're actually getting paid to fucking work, not the computer. That's my opinion. But anyway, leave a comment below, leave a comment in the chat room, do whatever you want. But yeah, I'll just move away. There's a Granny Fluid Rules T-shirt. It was on the green screen last year. Me, Damien, and a few others, Eric and another guy, Chad, brought up the slogan Granny Fluid. Well, over the year, been mucking around trying to get a design T-shirt, and this is just a rough one. Maybe it will be the T-shirt. So Granny Fluid Rules. So if you know what it was all about, what the Granny Fluid is all the shit that goes on YouTube with all the drama fests from people, and they're not grannies themselves. They're just fucking people, and it can be the men and women involved in this. So Granny Fluid, basically, it's another name for dramas. So that's another name. So it's original. We made it. We're going to copyright the name and whatnot, and bring out T-shirts and probably get a stickers and that. Maybe get something happening. And yeah, if you want one, we'll let you guys know. And if you want to order it, we'll let you guys know when that time comes. But that's a T-shirt and whatnot. So I don't know if that's going to be the final result, but that's a draft at the moment. I might go ahead with it. I'm thinking about putting a bit more of a bladder on the shirt, like a little grip the writing and whatnot. So who knows? But yeah, so there's so many things going on. I mean, it just goes to show that we can't be uptight of what's going. Yet it is frustrating. There's fucking rules and regulations and mandates going in place. Blah blah blah. But what I've done for my life over the last 18, well, not 18 months, but since the pandemic started, I refuse to go into a business, and I'll say this again, I refuse to go into a business, restaurant, live venue with all these mandates. If they require you to do this, I refuse to go in there. They don't get my money, I'll go somewhere else. And quite frankly, that gets me along. Now, if people want to wear a mask, that's on them. I don't wear a mask. I never have, never will. If people want to get vaccinated, they can. I'm not getting vaccinated. I'm not anti-vaxxer. I'm just not getting vaccinated. I haven't been sick for a while, and I'm talking for a fucking while, right? Do I say that the thing's a hoax? Well, that's a tricky situation. The thing is, if many people at the start of the pandemic here in Australia were returning back from overseas on a cruise ship and they were getting sick, not actually returning back from an airplane or anything, does it really tickle your fancy that the COVID, we had 8 to 9 cruise ships returning back to Australia at the start of the lockdown or pandemic, hundreds of passengers on each cruise ship got sick. So did the virus actually come from Wuhan in the lab, or did it come from the fucking cruise ship? You ask yourself that question. Anyway, I am going to wrap it up. There's the thing. If you want to give us a thumbs up, do it. If you want to leave a comment, do it. If you want to subscribe. If you want to share. Quite frankly, I don't really give the rat if you watch it or not, because I'm not here for anyone else's entertainment. I'm just here to just give my point of view across. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. But the one thing I don't do, I don't get involved with the fucking drama anymore. So if you want to talk drama, do it on your own fucking channel. But as always, and I say this on my music channel, stay thirsty for metal. Catch ya.